I notice a lot of companies out there with solid sales strategy, but they're lacking when it comes to execution. They've got reports and dashboards all over the place, but no one at the organization knows what to do next to actually scale and grow the business. That's why I've been keeping up with ZoomInfo. What I've noticed is it's really evolved lately, and it's no longer a contact database. It's now an entire execution system. It's what they're calling go-to-market intelligence. The system works the list. Emails get sent out, and the play gets triggered automatically. No more guesswork, no more manual effort. Pipeline just moves, revenue grows. It's a strategy that delivers. Go to ZoomInfo.com to learn more. Jay Johnston, my guy. It's time to talk about outbound that actually works in tech sales. And we're talking about outbound that works in big tech. You've worked at Dell. You're a prodigy there. I think you had like 4 roles in 2.5 years. I spent time at Oracle and Google Cloud. So we know what works when it comes to big tech outreach. Let's get right into it. Now, the first moment I met you was at this guy's entrepreneurial dinner. We were having steaks, having open hearts. No, I don't know what I'm saying.
That was a meaty night.
It was a meaty night. I met you, dude. Your energy was unbelievable, which I was like, this guy has something special in him, and I was right. I love what you've done, not just in tech sales, but now with elite tech sales, helping people launch their careers at the best companies out there like Google Cloud and Databricks, and you're just getting started, dude. But I will say, I'm going on a tangent, but your energy was amazing. And I think energy has such a big impact on our ability to connect with customers and with people and our productivity. I didn't expect to ask you this, but before we get into cold calling, because we'll talk about that in a second, what role has energy played in your success on this path?
That is a great question.
Dude, I did not, we weren't planning to talk about this, but it's something special that you have. And I wonder if you understand why you have that great energy.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about this a few times, and I think everyone needs to hear it, but like energy beats form. Like you could give everyone the tactics to cold call or to say a certain line or send an email, but a lot of transacting with humans is the actual feeling you give someone when you communicate with them. And I think for me, a lot of it just comes down to the beliefs I have in myself as a human. So when I pick up the phone to cold call, I don't feel like I have to use like a permission-based opener. Like I already come from a high frame of value and self-confidence. So I don't need the other person to validate me. And it's not that I'm cocky or better than anyone. I just have confidence in myself. And so when I bring that energy to the table, I feel like I can actually give more and be more present, like that steak dinner we met at. And I think in a lot of ways it can radiate, because like an example on us meeting is in some way I enrolled you and probably 3 other people to move to the same apartment complex in East Austin. We all had a good time. So I think a lot of people, they need the next course, they need the next piece of advice, but can you just calm your nervous system, do what you actually like to do? Like outside of work, I was still running every day, prepping for Ironman, swimming, going to yoga, eating steak, like living life how I wanted to. And I think that put me at peace. And I think the more that I felt like I could be myself, the more that other people could actually connect with me. A really interesting thing, by the way, is listen to a podcast recently that talked about it's better to be disliked for who you are than liked for someone you're not. And so that's something I always think about, is I would rather be disliked for being who I actually am than trying to satisfy the needs of other people who don't actually matter.
So powerful, man. So you said energy beats form. And I think one of our good buddies, Trent Dressel, would say the same thing. I remember I was in studio with him and I asked him for his cold call opener. And I think he has the same one that you do, which is, hey, this is Trent calling from Deal. How are you? He's just being real and he's confident. And he said that he's always prepared. Like if you'd have put him on the spot to make a cold call, he's ready. And he said it's because of the context he creates in his life and his habits. And it seems like you operate the same way. So how do you generate that preparedness and that energy that we're talking about? Is it just, it sounds funny to say loving on yourself with it by living in alignment, certain habits? Because I feel like you operate at a very high level. So I just want to peel back the onion of what is behind generating this energy.
Funny enough, this is something I've done for a long time, but one of your YouTube shorts caught my attention the other day, and it hit on this exactly. And it was, if you want everything to flow very well in your life, in your sales career, take care of your fitness. And I think that's something that's like very overlooked, is my physiology and cells and everything actually just is more in homeostasis when I'm moving my body. So can I go on a run? We're lucky to have a cold plunge and sauna right in our neighborhood that we can go hit anytime. Anytime I can actually do things that just make me feel human besides being on a computer 24/7, that makes me more human when I am on technology. So for me, it's absolutely health, wellness, fitness. I wake up with a full body red light panel every day. I'm not saying you have to be a biohacker, but whenever my health is in check, everything else seems to flow. And I notice people who make the trade to put all their eggs into like the sales or business basket
Yes.
and choose not, or just choose to neglect their health, end up making a bad trade where they get stressed, overwhelmed, and they can't control their nervous system. So for me, it's absolutely my health and wellness.
Hmm. It reminds me of a recent podcast with Anthony Benedettini, who you know of. And you and him are cut from the same cloth. And at the end of our podcast, he talked about how health comes first. And I'm reading a book, Five Types of Wealth by Sahil Bloom. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. And it talked about 4 types of wealth coming before financial wealth. Time wealth, the ability to use our time as we see fit, to have some freedom with our time. And the cool thing about tech sales is we can get efficient with our time. And I've seen people working 20-hour weeks. So how many hours did you work at Dell?
Towards the end, it was probably like 10, 15. Like it's pretty low.
What a dream scenario, dude. You created true time wealth. 10, 15 hours a week. You were able to build your business on the side. Now you've built elite tech sales. You're helping people. And you're also building a scalable business that serves your lifestyle as well, where you have, it seems, time freedom. So I think that's just an important part of wealth. Then there is connection wealth, which I'm fortunate to have an amazing wealth of, I guess it's coming out funny, but dude, you add to my connection wealth so much is what I'm trying to say. Like, what a friendship I have in you. I'm so grateful for that. That is critical form of wealth. Because if we have all this financial wealth and success with no one to share it with, I mean, we got nothing. And then there's mental wealth and physical wealth, which you're hitting on, dude. And then there's financial wealth. But if we didn't have the physical and mental wealth, what good does the money do us, you know?
Yeah, it would be funny for anyone listening. The cost of software development's really low right now. So someone create this. We have RepView to gauge like, scores and everything. I think some people on Twitter, they'll like make these things like the S&P 500 based on like how heavy a CEO can deadlift or something.
Yeah.
We should do that for like all the VPs of sales, like body fat percentage or how much they can bench press. Because I guarantee if you're under leadership that actually cares about their health, they'll translate a lot of those habits into your day-to-day. Like one of my VPs at Dell was like very obese.
Oh, really?
Which is like still a great guy, but it's like if you want to model the behaviors of what will make your sales organization the best, I've met like some VPs at like Deal and other companies who are like units, like some studs, and I'm like I would totally work under you. Like that. Yeah. That's like a good vibe.
Yeah. Some of the best sellers I've experienced at startups and in big tech, they're doing Ironmans or they're pushing themselves physically, dude. They're machines, and a lot of former athletes obviously do well on this path. And you were a soccer player, right? My VP of sales at my last company, Aaron, I actually did have a lot of respect for him, and he was in really good shape, dude. And it's like, and that carried over. His discipline was unbelievable, and I respected him for it as a leader. So when getting back to cold calling, so what was your opener? Was it, hey, this is Jay calling from Dell. How are you? And can you just walk us through your simple opener, and also your thinking of like, what was the tone? Because when we met years ago, I swear you said like talking as if you're talking to your mom. So like, I want to understand your mindset of the tone behind it too. Tech sales is an amazing career path where you can make as much as doctors and lawyers without having to cut anyone open or work ungodly hours. Looking back 10 years later, having personally started out in tech sales at Oracle, then moved to Google Cloud and a startup, and now fully launching into entrepreneurship, I can say with confidence that tech sales transformed my life through the income that it produced, the skill development, the connections, and the self-development that I unlocked along the journey. If you're someone who wants to strategically build your own six-figure tech sales career without wasting valuable time and earnings potential, then consider Tech Sales Accelerator and our 12-week programs as your blueprint. Our partners are breaking in and crushing quota at top companies like Oracle, Google Cloud, VMware, and Salesforce, leveraging our in-depth video content, one-on-one coaching, community, and network access. And we'd love to partner with you too to accelerate your own success on this path. If you'd like to learn more about Tech Sales Accelerator and our programs, then feel welcome to book time at my Calendly link, linked in the description of this video, and we'll walk you through all the details. Or just download my free cold calling system that's going to help you crush the phones quickly, also linked in the description of this video. All right, let's get back to the episode.
Yeah, and for the record, out of all the dinners I've ever been into, like in Austin, my 5 years living here, you're the only person who's taken interest in my cold call opener.
Yeah,
at a dinner. So
have you ever? Did it ever even come up?
Like never.
You knew I was a special breed of weird.
Yeah, I was like, this guy has something.
He likes tech sales a lot.
Yeah, my opener was simple, and I'll kind of give you the frame behind it once I say it. But I'd be like, hey, this is Jay from Dell. How are you doing? And very simple. And so the whole psychology behind it is I believe in having a high frame of value. And so if I'm like, hey, this is Jay, and I'm talking like 1,000,000 miles per hour, and I'm like, can I get like 5 seconds of your time? Like, I'm already putting you on a pedestal where like you can just like shut me down. And I just didn't like that dynamic. Like, I tried it, other people on the floor were doing it, and I was like, why don't I just act like I'm supposed to be calling them? And so when I'm like, hey, this is Jay from Dell, like even slow and spaced out like that, like it kind of was a pattern interrupt. You're like, well, this guy's probably meant to be calling me. And I'll never forget one of the first weeks on the floor, someone actually made fun of me, and it wasn't someone in my organization. It was the person I was cold calling. It was the secretary. She said, you kind of sound like Spicoli from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It's like this guy who's like a huge pothead surfer or something like that. And one of the things I realized is I do talk slower and spaced out in some regards, but if you actually break down psychology of a cold call, or any marketing in general, you ideally want to keep someone on the phone longer. And so even by taking longer to speak and using less words and letting them speak more words than you, you're actually creating a dynamic where they're coming towards you instead of you going towards them, which is a winning dynamic.
Yeah, that's powerful. I do notice you slow your tone down, and that is the way to operate. If someone's moving fast and is frantic, it just throws off red flags in the mind of the prospect. So.
And think of it this way too, like you've worked for some amazing leaders, like you just mentioned one. If they were doing a cold call or got on a call, they probably wouldn't be speaking 1,000,000 miles per hour. Like they have so much confidence in like their leadership role and what they do. It'd be very cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah, they're unattached, and they think you should be talking to me. I have a ton of value to offer.
Yeah, so just model the behaviors of the people you want to. So that's what I did, and cold calling was so fun for me. Like I loved it.
That's so cool that you actually turned something that most people hate and avoid into something you enjoyed, and you were authentically yourself. And the Spicoli, I think, comment, that's so funny, but it like you succeeded. You did it your way. So that's super encouraging. We could riff on a few other openers. Mike Weinberg, we both had the pleasure of meeting. He's the author of New Sales Simplified. He's good. He's got some swagger. And he has something like, hey, Jay, it's Chris calling from Dell. Can I steal a minute? And that's also kind of just, I belong, acknowledging, you're stealing some time. But I feel like that is a solid one. I haven't really used it lately. Now, when I was at Oracle, this was powerful, man, like to do a really warm opener where if I did homework and I was on the prospect, I was selling the Oracle database. I noticed they invested in NetSuite. We acquired them. You could make it warm by saying, hey, Jay, this is Chris calling from Oracle. I appreciate the partnership on the NetSuite side of the house, and I'm reaching out to expand our relationship on the database side. And got a quick minute for me to share why I'm calling.
That's a good one.
So it's like that, but you can only do it in big tech. If you have at Google, that was cool at Google, man, because they could maybe be doing business with Google Ads or a different part of the business.
Or it's like, hey, I just saw your Google search.
Yeah. So that is the power of big companies. And I don't know, with Dell, you had multiple business units and solutions, right? Were you able to do something like that where you could look at if they actually was a spender with you, or did you have all greenfield?
Yeah, it was kind of, I don't want to say like a mess, but I believe when Dell acquired EMC, it was like such a large merger that, I mean, it was like a multi-year process to get all like the sales forces combined with like install bases and everything like that. But I do believe for the most part, a lot of the accounts we were calling on had spent typically $1 with Dell, even if it was just a laptop. Like we're
Yeah.
selling data centers, so completely different. But working at such a big name company like Dell, like most people have heard of the laptop, they own a server, um, or might even have an EMC infrastructure somewhere. So we didn't have direct access to it, but like just the name recognition played a big role. And I do think in the era of AI that we're getting into a larger name company and being able to cold call based off all the marketing is going to pay dividends for sellers compared to, hey, like I could still call someone and like make something out of nothing. Because if you prospect and you have like ZoomInfo and you can get really dialed with like the highest intent people to call, like you can still make something out of nothing.
Yeah.
But it's a lot stronger than like, hey, this is Chris from Cupcake.io.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? Like, what do you do? And you're like, oh, I'm an AI company. And then
Yeah.
they're like, this is like the 10th AI company that's called me. Like, who are you?
Yeah. There's power in working for a big brand name. Beyond the training we got at Dell and Oracle, it's like we got paid to get our real world sales education, maybe even a MBA. And that's powerful. But the fact that we can ride the coattails of a large brand, people know of us, and for that reason, you don't need to be fancy with your opener. You can just be real and straightforward, and they know of you. Now for startups, like in my last company, people didn't know who Bespin was. Like no one knew who Bespin was. So I did break out that permission-based opener, and some people don't like it. Now it does work. And today we're talking about things that have worked. Like your opener has worked.
Mm-hmm.
These things I'm talking about have worked, but there's no silver bullet, and there's something to be said for like when you're calling on behalf of big tech, which is the ideal, it might look a little different than at a startup. But I did like what, Kevin Dorsey sat in your seat not too long ago, and he's a CRO at Finally, and he does a lot of testing of openers and things. He's awesome, dude. You'll have to meet him at some point. He's local in Austin, and his opener, he called it the Justifier. Let me try and remember it. It's like, hey, Jay, this is Chris calling from Finally. I was just on your website, and I was hoping I could ask you a couple quick questions to see if it's even worth a larger conversation. Would that be okay? Do you got a second?
See, I
See,
like
is that kind of solid?
Well,
like,
and if you
and that is permission based.
Yeah, and one thing to think about in that dynamic, because I've made tons of cold calls for elite tech sales.
Wow,
with
look at you.
A lot of the B2B stuff we do.
Respect, dude. Making cold calls on behalf of your own business. That's a whole different level. That's awesome.
Yeah, I have friends with multi-million-dollar companies, and they always say like no one will care about your business more than you. So it's like you'll always care the most.
Quick, I have to say the power of developing the highest leverage skills in the world. Being able to pick up a phone and cold call, outbound. This is the stuff that you take with you for the rest of your life into entrepreneurship, and you're a shining example of that. So let's go.
And like, let's not just totally crap on startups. Like there are great startups out there, clearly. You can, like, even for me, it's like if I'm calling on behalf of elite tech sales and what we're doing, it's like they're not going to be familiar with the brand name necessarily, but you can just talk about the outcome you produce. Hey, like we help people maximize their income in tech sales. Like you can just talk about that in your opener in some capacity. Or
I like that, dude. You get right to the outcome.
Yeah, it's like, because if you're at the end of the day, like sales, you're designed to solve a problem. So as long as you're hitting the problem and then you're seeing if there's alignment, I checked out your website, saw X, Y, and Z. Like you can always create alignment. So if you don't have the brand recognition, people haven't seen your brand name 18 times to feel familiar about it in different angles. Like don't worry about it. So it's like there's always a way, and like the best sellers are the most creative.
It's leading with outcomes. What prospects find interesting is expensive problems, the problems that are relevant to them, and getting better results. That's it, dude. So you hit on the nail on the head. That's the key to outbound success, especially in a cold call. Maybe you do like what I just did. That shout out to KD for that opener where you give a little bit of a warm justifier. I was just on the website. I just read your recent press release, and I was hoping I could ask a couple quick questions. You asked them for permission. to see if it's even worth a larger conversation. I love the power of that because you're showing you're unattached. Like, I don't know if it's going to be a fit. I don't know for sure if we're for you, but can we find out? Like that can be good to just get the undivided attention. And that's why in the past few years at a startup, I would use that just so I could get that undivided attention. But the reality is you got to get into problems and like relevant problems. So getting to like the next phase of the cold call, I think of there's no silver bullet, but the way I think of it is piquing curiosity and more interest. It has to do with framing relevant problems. And I'm curious to know too, if you just, with your cold calling, if you just get right into the problems. First off, before I go into my thing, so you're saying, do you sometimes just, when you're cold calling for elite tech sales, what does that look like? Are you getting right into the problem? Like right in the opener? Or do you say an opener and then get to the problem? Tech sales is an amazing career path where you can make as much as doctors and lawyers without having to cut anyone open or work ungodly hours. Looking back 10 years later, having personally started out in tech sales at Oracle, then moved to Google Cloud and a startup, and now fully launching into entrepreneurship, I can say with confidence that tech sales transformed my life through the income that it produced, the skill development, the connections, and the self-development that I unlocked along the journey. If you're someone who wants to strategically build your own six-figure tech sales career without wasting valuable time and earnings potential, then consider Tech Sales Accelerator and our 12-week programs as your blueprint. Our partners are breaking in and crushing quota at top companies like Oracle, Google Cloud, VMware, and Salesforce, leveraging our in-depth video content, one-on-one coaching, community, and network access. And we'd love to partner with you too to accelerate your own success on this path. If you'd like to learn more about Tech Sales Accelerator and our programs, then feel welcome to book time at my Calendly link, linked in the description of this video, and we'll walk you through all the details. Or just download my free cold calling system that's going to help you crush the phones quickly. Also linked in the description of this video. All right, let's get back to the episode.
Kind of depends. Because yeah, I've cold called like quite a few people, so it depends like the persona you're talking to. Yeah, I'll try to just ask some questions. So like typically if I'm doing a cold call, it's like at some point like you got to tell them like what you do. So like, hey, like we help people maximize their income in tech sales, blah blah blah. And then curious if you'd be the right person to talk to about blah blah blah, like whatever it is. And so making sure I'm getting to the right persona. And then once I'm there, I might ask like more questions and get into it. But I at least need to open up with confidence, say like what I do, make sure they're the right person who could solve that problem. And then if not, maybe they'll transfer me because I don't want to give like an elevator pitch to the wrong person.
Okay, see, that's key. If you don't know who the right person is, and you're maybe the person you're reaching out to is the right person, but it's really powerful to confirm, are you responsible for this or are you the right person for this? I love that. You don't want to be giving pitches or even framing. Well, you might frame problems for them to understand who the right person is, but that's a good insight. And our boy Mikey that you've met, I noticed at Vast Data, his data and AI company, he seems to take that approach as well, where he's like, I'm curious, are you responsible for this? Like, we help companies with this. Is that your wheelhouse?
Also, you don't have to like get right into the pitch slap of any type, like, persona qualification, anything. One thing I really like to do is just keep the tone very neutral, but slightly uplifting, but not high pitch. So hey, Chris, how are you doing today? And it's like, oh, I'm doing good. Well, it's like, awesome. And like, if you like just kind of keeping a normal conversation going for one or two sentences on like actual reports, like great. Like most people typically hate Monday morning. So it's good to see that you're one of the few that actually like it like I do, like creating familiarity. And then all of a sudden, like they'll kind of make a joke back. And then all of a sudden you're, 3 or 4 lines back with each other. And then all of a sudden they're like, well, how can I help you? And then like you're like, oh yeah, by the way, like I do this. Are you the right person to connect with? And so it just feels like way more friendly throughout the interaction than just getting into like this pitch and dissecting it. And so even if you can just keep it like cool, calm, and collected, like you're supposed to be calling them, you have a worthy solution that they need. And you can talk to them just normal for like sometimes 30 seconds or a minute before you even get into it. At that point, you're like not a salesperson anymore, like a crappy cold caller. Like you're an actual human that they kind of want to help because they can see you're cool and can hold a normal conversation for a minute.
Yeah, I like how you eased into it. That was a good line, creating familiarity that clearly, I don't know exactly what you said, but clearly, you're someone, it's good to find someone else who likes Mondays. You didn't say it that way, but you were creating commonality. Like, cool. Like here, we have that in common. I think that, I don't know if that just came to you in the moment, but that's fun and authentic. And then you're, like you said, you're a couple lines in and you're starting to build rapport, and then they ask you, oh, how can I help you? And boom, you're ready. So, I'll share a few more thoughts, like based on what I've seen.
You have a ton of experience.
I like cold calling.
Yeah. I get some cold calls from you.
Yeah, I've double dialed you, and I think you've done me the privilege of double dialing me as well. So it's a special friendship.
That is, yeah.
But I'm waiting for the triple dial.
Oh, yeah, dude. I was going to get on our friend Trent. I actually double dialed him once.
Okay. Did he pick up?
One time it worked, one time it didn't. And I was like, that is crazy.
Did you leave him a voicemail?
I should have multi-threaded. Okay. Probably a text and a LinkedIn message, but...
Yeah, text, LinkedIn message. Yeah, maybe
Dude,
a voice.
I've been writing letters too. That's actually been like one of the most effective outreach strategies.
Wow, that's a good example of outreach that works, because that's what we're talking about. So something that is such a pattern interrupt that's unscalable, like a written letter, I believe, like, or 100% believe you that it works.
Dude, and even like this is kind of a tough one, but all the members who graduate Elite Tech Sales, like I will send them a handwritten note, which is kind of crazy. Doing the things that aren't scalable are kind of fun though, because I genuinely like everyone we get a chance to work with, and it's a different energy behind that than a text or a call or like a virtual pat on the back. So I think as we get into this AI era, the more we can create actual relationships, doing like more human things, like being in person and doing podcasts, like you have amazing guests sit in this seat that you build genuine relationships with. I think that is going to be like a gold mine, like sellers figuring out ways to be different, unique, and authentic than just feeling like they have to rely on like one channel, like just cold call or just email. And the best part about it is like you get in the reps to cold call and you meet people in person, and now all of a sudden you have different ways of crafting these relationships with people, and then leveraging like your cold calling skill to kind of call that semi-warm person you met at that networking event. So it's like all of them work together.
Yes.
You just have to up-level all the skill sets at the beginning at once.
Yeah, we're hitting on so many good different aspects of outbound that works, and we'll get back to the next parts of the cold call, but I want to emphasize what you're saying about reaching out from all angles, what they call multi-threading. You could send a handwritten note is so powerful. You could send an email that's personalized and value-driven. You send the LinkedIn connection request referencing the email. You could leave call that they might not pick up, leave a voicemail that references the email, that increases the email response rate based on the data. I mean, you might try and meet someone in person, if it's a local prospects. And so if you hit them from different angles and diversify your outbound like you would your investment portfolio, the probability of hitting the mark and getting that meeting is going to exponentially increase. And that warms them up, man. And another thing I'll throw in that I'm big on now is just giving thoughtful comments on LinkedIn posts if the prospect is active on LinkedIn. And I'm grateful for some of the thoughtful comments you leave on my posts. Seriously, I appreciate it. The algorithm, it boosts the algorithms. And so for someone like me, if someone actually had it, like they're trying to build an audience, it's a huge value add. But what if a prospect is trying to promote a recognition their company got, or they've released a product and they're proud of it, Amplify that with a very thoughtful comment that shows you read it, specific acknowledgement. And one thing I heard that's cool is you can tag someone who like the post, you might not even know them, and ask them for perspectives. That's kind of cool. So that's an act of generosity. It doesn't cost us too much, but so multi-threading, and I'm on a tangent, but I'm on a roll.
He's on fire.
But I'm on a roll. But one of the AEs that I work with at Splunk, and I can't take the credit for this. This guy's talented outbound guy that he's number 2 at his org. He's trying to get to number 1, and we're working together to squeeze out all his potential. But he's a beast. He dropped off cookies at his prospect, and I've told this story a few times on different podcasts, so I forget if I already told it. Okay, this is so good. He dropped off cookies locally in Tampa in the market he's in, and then he cold called the guy, but it transformed into the warmest of calls. Because when he said it was Nick from Splunk, The guy said, "Oh, Nick, did you drop off the cookies?" He said, "Yeah, I did." And then he said, the prospect said, "They were amazing. When can you meet?" And I mean, dude, that changes the game. It's like your handwritten letters. So that was a gift that I don't know if Nick knew that they like cookies, but most people do, right? It's an act of generosity that, earns a meeting. Our boy Scott Leese talks about personalized gifting. He likes Casa Azul or something, tequila. And you might have to work with your leadership to justify an investment like that of getting tequila. But if it's a high potential account, man, is that worth it? And if you give them the personal gift of the thing they love, dude, that's unscalable, but that gets meetings. So these are things that actually work. Anything you want to riff on the topic of like multi-thread, creative gifting? Otherwise, I'll keep us rolling, but
yeah, definitely talk to your leadership and see what gifts you can get. Like when I was a field rep, I think probably out of the whole field organization, I ordered from our marketing team the most amount of Dell Yetis.
Nice. I think I have one. I had Dell Legos thanks to you, man.
Dude, I had so much in my garage, which was crazy. But it's like figure out what you can get people. I think in general, if you can gift people things that are relevant to them or unique experiences, that is great. I think one of the best email campaigns I ever did, I stole from you, and that was getting people to show up to this Broncos home opener. Dude, where we had like
you crushed that one, I remember.
Yeah, and like we had all these C-levels there, had like a great experience. Dude. And I think we used like your frame that you used for Google Cloud Next to $2,000 to $3,000 tickets or whatever.
Oh yeah,
yeah, like that was a really good one.
Dude, nice job. And I'm glad you brought that up because generosity, it earns meetings. And when you get someone, especially for an in-person experience, like going to the Broncos, that's sick.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Like Russell Wilson home opener.
Yeah. And so imagine, I'm sure you had some good conversations. People let their guard down. It's like 8 meetings virtually, and crazy. Same with Google Cloud Next. And what you're saying is you might have put in perspective the value of the tickets and make it clear, like, we got this for you for free. And I don't know if you did that, but I did that with Next. Hey, it's usually $2,000 to $3,000, but I got it comped by leadership. You're taken care of. Yeah, I didn't say it that exact way, but that's the vibe. And did you do that, or like how did you? You don't have to, but that was just like another little nuance among other things. Like in framing. Okay, I'll keep rolling on this real quick because there's some insight in this, but I'd frame the value of connecting with other leaders. I don't know if you hit on that too, but executives love to meet other executives. And if I could get a big executive at a company to come to an event, like I hosted a jazz game in Salt Lake City, I could like kind of allude to, oh, we've got so-and-so from this company coming.
Yeah.
And so that yeah, anyways. So
yeah, we would do that. Yeah. And we had like some massive CEOs there. Like one of them, he has like one of the largest, and this isn't political, but like conservative podcasts in like the whole US, owns like a few companies in the Colorado area, like one of the largest gun ammo things, like really cool guy. Got him in touch with a lot of other CEOs in the area. So yeah, just doing those events are really good. And I think another thing to talk about with cold calling is like, don't be afraid to cold call anyone in the organization. So one of my favorite things to run an effective sales cycle, and I hope someone listening to this steals this. I actually messed up on this, so I'll give you like I'll give you what actually happened. But when I was a field rep, one of my largest accounts was the tallest building in downtown Salt Lake. It's Ken Garff. It's like this automotive company. Cool. And I was like trying to get a hold of the CIO or CTO. I totally forget. Actually, he like replied to one of my LinkedIn messages once, which is kind of cool. But then kind of lost touch with him. And so I'll never forget, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to cold call an IT manager there and just like try to understand how I can get a meeting with his CTO. And I had a really good cold call to him. And I essentially was like, hey, I'm going to be in Salt Lake in a few weeks. We should, grab some coffee and hang out or whatever. And kind of the hack that everyone should think about, which is one of the most powerful Trojan horses in a sales cycle, is to talk to anyone within an organization in the department you're trying to sell to and just steal their nomenclature and how they speak, and then ask like very specific things like, hey, I know you got a new CTO, Kevin, and I'm curious, like, what are his top initiatives that he sends on his emails most commonly to you? And so then it's like you get the answers to the test. And then when you actually, ask, hey, would you be able to introduce me to Kevin? Or like if they don't, then you can start using, hey, I know this is your top initiative. And it's like, well, how did you know that? That's like only internal. So that's like really powerful. But here's where I messed up. It's kind of funny. So that champion that I built a champion with, I'm like, hey, I'm going to be out in Salt Lake. Like, let's get together. Like, you're very important for our team to me. Making someone lower on the totem pole.
You want to make them feel special. Yes, I would do that all the time.
Here's where I messed up is I did not understand culture. So apparently Utah is a very Mormon culture and they don't drink coffee. And so I asked them to meet at a coffee shop.
Oh.
Yeah. And
dude, that's a huge thing. And I've made my own mistakes, by the way.
Yeah.
Like I planned I'll say real quick, like an event in New York City at the time when everyone goes on vacation.
Oh, no way.
And so like we got some people to turn up, but it was just bad timing and I should have known. That's almost like similar to a cultural, at least seasonal thing in New York. But
just being unaware of it, yeah.
Yeah, of like in different regions, they have different practices. So basically they don't drink coffee, which I didn't realize. Yeah. I know they don't drink alcohol.
Yeah, I believe coffee. I could be wrong. And everyone's different. I don't know a ton about the culture, but I didn't really pick up on it until like halfway through our meeting that I ordered a coffee and was drinking it. And like it can kind of be like a weird energy if like someone's for something and against something. And I think I actually deteriorated some trust in the meeting by like not. I don't know if I was kind of like breaking a cultural thing or whatever, because we had a good meeting, but or I just had a bad meeting and he didn't want to introduce me to
someone. It's a good lesson though.
But it's like, just be aware. Like, even if it's not, like, take the assumption that they are and then just don't do the thing. But funny enough, I actually did get enough intel to get a meeting with the CTO. I just did not get a warm introduction after that.
Yeah. And if you get a warm introduction, that's the most powerful thing. If he email introduced you, or you got permission to say spoke with so-and-so, or so-and-so referred me to you, that subject line, man, almost always gets responses for me, but it sounds like you still got the meeting because you had gathered ammo from the inside to craft a message that aligned directly to the priorities you learned about. Yeah. So that is such a pro move, and that is something that works when it comes to outbound. It works time and time again. I remember this one Google seller, when I first joined Google Cloud, I really looked up to her as a field seller when I was inside, and that was her main strategy, was actually she would purposely not go to the top, and she would go to the lower levels and gain all the intel, and then, man, was she compelling, and she got those meetings. That said, I will say I'm still a top-down guy. I usually do shoot my sniper shots towards, I go to the top.
You're really good. You're like SEAL Team 6,
but like
cold emails.
I enjoy following my curiosity and doing the detective work to stumble on serendipity when I find that golden nugget. That, they went to Georgetown too. Hoya Saxa from Google. Boom. Okay, they got that partnership on the marketing side of the house with Google and whatever. Let me call that out, make it warm. And I love that art. But there actually is nothing better than learning from the inside. And it's the same when you help people break into tech sales. And by the way, you're helping AEs get better at AE roles.
Any role in tech
helping
sales,
people interview and land much better roles. You're teaching them to network with champions on the inside to get the answers to the test. So the same principles apply, don't they?
And if you can just be normal, be human on that cold call and make them feel like you're normal, you can talk to them, because
I'm not normal though.
Like, anyways, for you, like, let's say someone's listening to this and they're like, I want to work with Chris Bussing. I know he's extremely busy and like can't work with everyone. Like, I get, like, I literally just got a DM I was checking right before this. Someone like asked me to coffee so I could help them with something. Like, imagine if someone asked me to coffee just to ask about you, and they're like, hey, like, what are Chris's priorities? What are this? And then like they craft this amazing email to you. It's like, hey, Chris, I know you just got back from the National Speakers Association. You got this, and this going on.
You did your homework.
Yeah. And then it's like all of a sudden there's not an opportunity cost to saying yes to it, because you feel like they're coming from such a level of warmth and empathy, and they understand exactly what your top priorities are. And so anything that they bring into that conversation is going to be only aligned with your top priorities. So it's just a beautiful way to get things done.
Yeah. A key to messaging is relevance. You cannot get more relevant than talking to someone on the inside to learn the priorities and pain points. The next best thing you can do is you read press releases, you do read the annual report, the 10K if they're a public company, and you get the risk factors in that report, which are the greatest fears of the CFO. So I've had some very powerful emails that got responses where I say it was a public company. I could find those risk factors, those the key business objectives. So that's the great thing about working with public companies, you know, but ultimately putting ourselves in their shoes, understanding the changing dynamics and what they're trying to achieve. That's a foundational component of good messaging. And we'll look at a few more components of good messaging, so that the audience can have different ingredients that they can use to bake up an outbound communication that is irresistible, delectable, and just gets prospects to bite. So, you know how I have the triple scoop ice cream metaphor too, which that's a whole thing. And I did give a speech to an LMS company, and they did say, I like the ice cream metaphor. We'll see if we get to that today. But going back to cold calling, because we just went on a beautiful tangent of so many valuable topics. You know, from multi-threading to gaining ammo from the inside to like bubble up the top. But I'll just do my little cold call spiel. But yeah, so imagine like I do that opener. Hey Jay, it's Chris calling from Finally. I was just on your website and I was hoping I could ask you a couple quick questions to see if it's even worth a larger conversation. Is that okay? You got a second?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Thanks for the opportunity. We work with other sales leaders like yourself, and I'm just going to talk in like frameworks for now. We work with other sales leaders like yourself at companies like yours in your specific market. And what we're hearing is they're struggling with X, Y, and Z. I'm curious, are you facing any of these challenges? And if you mess up like that on a call, you're like, wow, this is the smoothest cold call you probably ever got. You know, so you own up to it. But we're seeing that they're dealing with challenges like X, Y, and Z. I'm curious, are you seeing any of these things, or do you have them all figured out? So I like that I even messed up, because I have had times where I mess up on a call at like tongue twister, because we're humans, you know, and to be able to own up to it, I'm like, wow, this is the smoothest cold call you ever got, I'm sure. Like, you know, that actually goes a long way and builds trust, and then it's like the pressure's off. But that is a good way to frame, you know, I'm a trusted advisor. I talk to people like you at companies like yours. Here's a couple relevant challenges that your peers are facing. Maybe you might be facing them, but you don't assume. I'm curious, are you facing any of these, or do you have it all figured out? And I like, do you have it all figured out? Because usually people don't have it all figured out. We're all trying to figure it out. We don't really know what we're doing. So the whole point of that is to create an opening for like, okay, there's a relevant challenge, you know, like you ask an open-ended question and talk about their current state. Now, from there, just to round out this cold calling spiel, it's important, as you said, that like cold calls that last longer convert more. I think you said that. Did I say that?
Yeah, just keep someone on the line longer, and there's a higher chance they'll like you. Yeah,
and you had that awesome like easing into the conversation example. But a way to keep it going too is after you ask that open-ended question about current challenges, just like simple things, man, that I've used that work. Like, can you tell me more about that? Oh, interesting. How long has that been an issue? Oh, I'm curious, why is that a top priority? So just simple questions to keep it going. And then questions to like magnify pain. Like, I'm curious, have you thought through the risk of doing things that way? Do you know how much that 2 to 4 weeks of employee onboarding delays are actually costing you? Have you ever calculated that? And just getting them thinking about the pain. And then
right as you go into the pitch, you say, and how open-minded are you?
Yeah.
So like 9 out of 10 people consider themselves open-minded.
Yeah. And so that's from exactly what to say. Google. Yeah. And like, the questions are going to look maybe a little bit different based on the context of what you're selling, but the whole theme is questions to get them talking more about their current state. Just keep the conversation going. Questions to magnify pain. You need to be able to kind of quantify the pain, ideally, lead them down a path to discover for themselves, like, okay, this is costing me something, and time and money. And then I like art of the possible questions. So, okay, well, it sounds like there's a lot of time that it could be saved here. Like, if we could get you X amount of hours back, what would that mean for you and your team? It's just kind of like art of the possible. If we could eliminate $20,000 in HR costs like we did for so-and-so, what would that mean for you and your team? You know, what would you put that budget towards? So,
and you can maybe even come with an example. It's like, yeah, like the 20,000 we saved this company reallocated to this. Would that be useful for your company? Because that way, like, they can actually see where they're reallocating it.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. And so, in one thing that's really powerful, and I did this especially as I got later on in my career, is I took pride in building an arsenal of customer stories.
Mm,
Just being able to tell like stories from customers that I spoke with. Like one VP of engineering, I asked him, "How does it feel to know you're spending over $20,000 a month on your cloud bill? How does that feel?" Because like we already were progressing an opportunity to help them save money. And he's like, "It feels like I'm walking around with razor blades in my shoes."
mm,
And it's like, that's kind of painful, emotionally charged language. And it's like, I can pull that into conversations. It's like, Jay, I was talking to another VP of engineering that they realized they could be saving a lot more money, but they just didn't have time. And in fact, they had a feeling they were were overspending by $20,000. And I asked him how that felt, and he told me it felt like the team was walking around with razor blades in their shoes.
mm-hmm.
So we worked with them to take the razor blades out of the shoes and actually produce some pretty good results. And would love to explore if we could produce some similar results for you. You got any time next week? And so, anyways, one other thing in terms of closing out, because there's no silver bullet, and usually what I do is I work with someone to kind of look at their company, their solution, even understand their style, and we kind of figure out breaking down the components of a cold call and figure out what their opener looks like and their piquing curiosity and the questions and the close. But you've heard this a bunch of times now, but closing with the "can I make a suggestion" close.
Mm-hmm.
So Jay, it sounds like reducing HR costs related to manual Zoom training processes is a big priority right now. And I'm glad I called because we help other companies like Pure Storage save thousands of dollars on those costs. Can I make a suggestion?
Mm-hmm.
How about we set aside some time? I'm laughing too because I'm like, it's so funny to like role play, but it's fun. And it's also like, we talk tech sales so much.
Yeah, I want to. So I was actually talking to a seller from Google today,
Yeah.
and he was getting ready for an interview, and I think we're going over discovery calls. This is kind of like, I think, a framework that differentiates like the good from the great sellers. Is there actually a deal, or are you trying to make one happen? And I think the best sellers, they can kind of get rid of the fluff quickly and like only progress to things that matter, not try to progress anything and anybody that will say yes. And so one of the things that I also like doing on a cold call, like once you have a relationship with someone, or like discovery call in this example, is not even trying to like pigeonhole you of like, talk to me about your ERP and like what's your biggest challenge with it. Like I actually like starting more holistically with, hey, like what's most your energy focused on right now? And keeping it like super high level and just letting them talk. They're like, well, we have like this big migration going on. We're getting a new CRM. We have all this. Because a lot of times, like, if it's not even a top priority of like the thing that I'm selling, or like something they're going through, we fit a use case to make their life better. There's something to be said about like just understanding it might not be the right time to engage. And so I think that's kind of like something big for me, is like always asking like, hey, like what's most your energy focused on? Clearly, if they don't say it, I'm still gonna drop it in. It's like, oh, a lot of times when we see people do that, like they might not be thinking of this. What's your capacity on your data appliances before you have to ship off to the cloud, etc. But not like trying to force something in where it doesn't work. I think sometimes sellers just like want to get happy ears on the call, and like I get it. If you're an SDR and like you got to book appointments, like you're gonna book them. But I think if you're like more of an account executive, or we're getting into a space where I'm seeing more full cycle AEs, it's understand you can always like build a relationship, invite people to events, and maybe timing's just off right now if their priorities just aren't simply aligned.
It reminds me that there's different types of prospects, and I heard this metaphor from someone else, but I stole it because it's a good one. But there's the ripe apples that are ready to engage, and when you call them, it's the right timing, and you want to set the meeting. There's not going to be a lot of friction. Then there's the rotten apples. They're a waste of time. They're locked into multi-year contracts. They're not a good fit for you. They don't have the budget. They're too small. That's an example. And then the green apples, which they're a good fit for you to help. They're a highly profitable prospect if you do win them. Maybe they're using a competitor but they have a need. It's just not the right timing, to your point. And that's where sales development mastery happens, It's your ability to connect and build rapport, discover, objection handle, and follow up. And get them to events, man. So some of the stingiest prospects, meaning where they just weren't getting back, I got them with a lunch. And I'm going to go into this tangent real quick, but one key to, in my mind, to irresistible messaging that gets meetings is just showing a little humanity. And I talk about this example a lot, but when I got a meeting with HEB, a $40 billion company, it was in a follow-up after 6 months. So that's a long time. And that's one of the unglorious aspects of outbound that works is following up for 6 to 9 months, especially for an account that's $40 billion, that's worth it. And eventually I was like, hey, we might have the greatest solutions in the world, but that doesn't matter if you don't actually like me. Can I take you to lunch? Can we spend some time and get to know each other? And if at the end of that you feel like I'm an asshole, no, I didn't say that. You feel like I wasted your time, you can tell me to take a hike, and I will. And so that's a little touch of humanity, just acknowledging you got to be like each other. And then we went to sushi and had a 2-hour lunch. And that opened the door to more time together and learning from the inside about initiatives. And I ended up going into entrepreneurship. And I spent a long time, I made a lot of progress with different lines of business at HEB, but that was a whale. But I was proud to even break in, and gain some groundwork. But just to wrap up the cold call thing, but it's So yeah, the recap, and can I make a suggestion? I'll finish it real quick and then we'll move on, and we'll check the time too, because it's too fun, man, getting together with you. It's always a great conversation. We got so many more to come. But so Jay, I understand that reducing your HR costs is a priority right now, and I'm glad I called because we help companies like you, like Pure Storage, save $20,000 on our HR costs. Can I make a quick suggestion? How about we set aside some time with your dedicated account executive when we're not calling you out of the blue to talk about how we're helping similar companies to you improve their HR processes, streamline things. At minimum, you're going to come away with some useful insights for your business and access to our resources going forward. Do you have your calendar ready?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I always pick this one, and I'm laughing because it's just funny. Like with one of your best friend basically role playing like this. It's like you and I, we have so many inside tech sales jokes. So, okay, great. I always pick this time when I'm doing a hypothetical thing. How does next Tuesday at 4 p.m. work for you?
It works great.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna send out the invite. Sending it out now. Click. Can you let me know when you accept it?
Yeah, accept.
Oh, perfect. Thanks for going with me. You're a good prospect.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else who should join the conversation?
Dude, I'm laughing so hard because this is textbook how you should do it. Literally textbook.
And also it's important to just practice in general. And you see, I kind of sometimes I'll mess up, right? But it's just practicing is so important.
Yeah, and anyone watching this, what I always say on any of my long form videos now is if you really like the framework set in this, take the transcript, put it in ChatGPT, and just prompt it to be like, hey, what did Chris say at this minute mark? And it will give you the exact.
Oh, that's a good point.
But I saw this meme the other day, and it was ex tech sales worker works at a pizza shop, and it was a guy went to go order a pizza, and he's taking the order. He's like, I'd like a pizza, and he's like, qualifying the whole bank qualification for the order.
Dude,
will there be anyone else joining?
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Dude, that's so good. And so what we're doing is we're firmly setting the meeting in a way where 1, you confirm you accept it. 2, we're confirming the audience. It would be a miss if what if you say, and we could complete it, but Kathy needs to join it. What if I didn't ask that and Kathy missed the meeting? And so I've seen deals slip, especially as an AE, where you didn't have the right audience from the start, And so that's just a pro move too. Any SDRs can pull out to make their AEs look like a hero. And then of course, when you're an AE, if you're self-sourcing, which I did a lot of self-sourcing, you got to do that. Confirm the audience.
Yeah. And on the flip side, you're not going to have prospects as easy as I just was a second ago. A lot of people are like, just send me white papers, follow up in a few months, whatever. In situations like that, one of my favorite things I'll say is, yeah, totally cool. For the sake of my bad memory, I'm just going to throw something on the calendar so we don't forget.
I like that.
And then I just send something over.
Yeah. And okay, that brings me to one thing I want to ask you about in a second. But one thing I would say with that too is I'd say, hey, just so I don't do you a disservice and flood your inbox with irrelevant information, I'm curious, is there specific aspects of our solution that you want to learn more about, or is there something specific you're trying to achieve? I just want to send you relevant information when I follow up.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's useful to try and like just, with objections, gain some more information. So that's something I usually throw out as well. And I love so you're basically saying, hey, I don't have the best memory. So like,
Yeah, like if they're not interested, but you still want an opportunity to follow up, it's like just throw the calendar invite.
yeah, I kind of like because I didn't think about that. It's like combining, like because you have nothing to lose. So try and get a little more info to try and send something relevant, but either way, and with
Mm-hmm.
the short memory and maybe I can throw something on the calendar. And so what I was doing with you there though is like just confirming if anyone else should join in. And who knows, like maybe you'd be like, oh, you're annoying me, like it's just me, or I don't know. But then what I do just after that is, I appreciate you passing on to Kathy, if you said Kathy, and I'm looking forward to talking with you and Kathy next Tuesday at 4 p.m. about where we can reduce HR costs, and appreciate the opportunity and hope you have an amazing life. No, hope you have a great rest of your day. So just kind of like a little bow reinforcing while we're talking. And the reality is like cold calling's messy. And so the goal is to, we practice so we don't sound too scripted. And I guess like what's really worked too, though, is just being real at times. Like if I was nervous before a cold call, I might even open up with, hey, Jay, this is Chris calling from Oracle. I actually hate making cold calls. I'm a little nervous right now, but I thought it'd be important to talk to you. Do you have a minute for me to share why I'm reaching out to you specifically? So it's like sometimes just being real in the moment if I was feeling some nerves. And there's different, like, oh, I mess up and say something stupid. That was the smoothest cold call you ever got. But it is interesting how our mistakes in human moments ultimately can lead to connection, and just being real like you with your approach,
Yeah, I feel like you've had some funny ones where, and I might be making this up, so forgive me, but like I've heard some where it's like, yeah, I just got off with our leadership, and out of our top 3 accounts in the West, you were top priority to call today, or something.
Yeah, no,
like
no,
like
I
that.
definitely I do stuff like that. I always say your top priority, and you hit on this earlier. You want to make them feel special, just like the IT manager, dude. I make the admin feel special. People like talk about getting past the gatekeeper, and
It's so important.
I would say turn them into your champion. Like, hey, Susie, I'm a little lost here. I was hoping you could help me out for a moment. Like a stranger asking for directions in New York City, completely lost. And sure, what's going on? You probably run the schedule around here, but I work at XYZ company. We help companies like yours with this. And I thought Tony, the CTO, would be the best person or something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, is he the best person to engage with? So you could confirm.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just a good way to open. It's one like asking for help and little things like you probably run the show around here. And maybe you get passed through that time, like probably will, and you might not get an answer. But what if you actually is it Tammy? I forget who I chose as the name of the gatekeeper. But what if let's say Tammy, you treated her not as a means to an end, but an end in of itself, and actually were curious about her and continue to bring a personal touch. Eventually, we would build influence with her, and she would actually become a personal walking ambassador that wanted to extend herself to make sure we got connected. So that can happen over time. But is there anything else you'd add? Like, did you have any clever approaches with the gatekeeper other than like asking for help, making her him feel special?
I think that's the main thing. And you even do it in a funny way. I think there's been times I've called you and you're like, hey, I'm on the phone with our most important like CEO prospect, but I wanted to prioritize you. And I'm like, oh, that made me feel good. So it's like,
dude, and you're great at that too, man. Like it's cool that you apply like things, even like handwritten notes to our friendship. It makes me feel really special when you've written those things. And so it's funny how we can, like some of these things that are, you might call it like a sales approach, is also part of like making people feel acknowledged. You do such a good job with that, man. So,
well, anything else? I feel like my car will have a high likelihood of getting towed if we go too much over. But
yeah, okay. Oh yeah, we're about on time. So
killer podcast.
Yeah, no, it's been good. Man. All I'm gonna do then is throw out what works, dude. I built my career on this, is personalization that would not make sense for anyone else, right? Like I read up on someone that they abide by the golden rule in business and in life. You might have a subject line, the golden rule, and I reach out to you saying, hey, Jay, I noticed you operate by the golden rule, and it's really important to me too, and we want to build a partnership founded around the golden rule. I also noticed that you recently launched a new product and this and that, and I say this because I coach an AE partner or member, client, whatever we want to call it. Like, I notice I call the people I work with partners, but it could get a little confusing. The idea is like at Starbucks, the employees are partners, and and also I partner with the people I work with on their journey.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of funny. So I actually coached one of my clients who's an AE to use this after looking at the LinkedIn profile of the person that he was just having radio silence from, he couldn't get in contact with, and the person responded with a long email and even called him. When I said Hoya Saxa from Google, that was actually from an email that I sent in my Google days to a CEO of a call analytics software company. And then I threw in some other personalization, and I recognized like triggers going on in their world. Like I saw your investment in the Mind Innovation Lab. I was reading your 10K risk factors. The guy actually did call me back. So it's just, maybe I'll, bucket it in like bringing a personal touch that wouldn't make sense for anyone else, being relevant like that, showing effort. It's what I call communication that costs you something. Mm-hmm. And it's the down payment you make to earn the trust, to get the response, get the meeting, and eventual partnership. So I just wanted to throw that out. We talked about the touch of humanity, reducing sales pressure, acknowledging, like taking the sales hat off. If you don't like me, how can we ever do business? Let's get lunch. Mm-hmm. I think those are some good points to end on, and ultimately framing value. We enter into a value for time exchange with the prospect. Why would they meet with us? Like, what are we giving them? And it could be an insight, a story, a report on recent trends that they're going to be able to share with their teams, or a coffee, or an in-person experience. So we got to check ourselves and say, like, what value are we offering in exchange for their time? And the cool thing is that applies to every meeting as we progress through the sales cycle. So we can end there, brother. Oh, wait. Final thing, dude. Your poor car. But I just think like the power of persistence, I'm borrowing this from Ronen Pessar, but there are fat stacks in the circlebacks, and the follow-ups fuel the finances. Dude, it's like my first deal at Google. People if they've followed this channel, have heard this a ton of times, but I call it when radio silence turned into the rocket fuel that changed my career. 9 months of reaching out to a database administrator, radio silence, no response, but I kept it thoughtful, personal. I treated the outreaches like they actually mattered, like they counted. And eventually in Q4, after 9 months, the guy gets back. It turns to a $200K deal that I end up closing because my account executive's out of office, and I worked with his boss, and closing the deal, like I hung my hat on that to get promoted to the next level. That eventually led me to Google Cloud. It led me to startup. It led me to Tech Sales Accelerator, but most importantly, it led me to you. The deal led me to you. So persistence matters, brother. So any final words of encouragement for the audience, and then I'll do a little plug. And but any final thoughts?
Yeah, with cold calling in general, volume negates luck, so do volume. You'll have good contacts. There'll be bad contacts.
And outreach in general, brother.
Yeah, just be normal too. Be normal. Do high volume. You'll get better.
Yeah. So I want to encourage the audience, and hey, audience, make sure to connect with Jay on LinkedIn and keep up with Elite Tech Sales, because you might be following this channel and you're trying to break into tech sales for the first time. And Elite Tech Sales will help you not just break in with any company, but the best of the best. Or you might be in tech sales and you're an SDR who realizes you're at a company where AEs aren't hitting quota and you don't have a good path, and you want to up level to a better company, maybe as an SDR, or even you can jump actually from SDR if you're top performer at your company to AE, or you're an AE who wants to move to a better company and make a lot more money. Elite Tech Sales has been producing like crazy results to help people at all levels when it comes to making strategic career changes that help you make more money. So I'm a big believer in Elite Tech Sales, and particularly in my, honestly, my best friend, Jay. So make sure to connect with him, and I'm going to link his free resume template in the description of the video, because it's damn good and it's getting people jobs. And of course, one other thing, I went over some cold calling frameworks. I've got a free cold calling system that it's got mindset, different scripts, and 15 objections with example responses. So that's pretty awesome. You can get that for free and linked in the description of this video. So guys, thank you for showing up and being a part of this growing tech sales community. It's been a while. It's been years, but we're just getting started. And I respect you for investing in your personal and professional development. I can see my buddy Jay raised his hand.
Yeah, I just want to add one thing before we say the happy.
Yeah. You know, I say the
I
same
love
thing.
it. We'll do it together.
Yeah.
We just launched a really cool offer with our tech sales. So like whether you're trying to get like SDR, AE role, etc. Our team's getting so many inbounds and we have capacity constraints right now. We've actually realized there's like a good group of people who are getting offers and they don't actually need the help on the front end for coaching. A lot of people still do, so we'll help them. And so for that, due to high demand and our results with it, we've been helping people just with the salary negotiation part once they're getting multiple offers to increase pay pretty significantly. So if you find yourself in a position like that where you just need help with negotiating, hit us up. Like our whole goal is to help you maximize your income. Even if you don't need any of the front end coaching, hit us up. We'll help you with the back end. We'll make sure you make good money.
Dude, it's cool to see that people you connect me with from your program that say, thanks to Jay and team, I made $10,000 more, even more than they would ever expected. And they didn't know what they didn't know. About how to negotiate.
This is the context. So like one of our VPs that work on our team used to work in tandem with compensation for B2B companies. So they know exactly how RSUs and everything else are distributed at every level of a company and how approvals work and thresholds for different regions. So it's like, it's such an unfair advantage. Like we can literally make people money. Like,
wow.
And we only charge on the upside, but it's not even like, literally, if we don't make you anything, you don't pay us anything. So like you're only paying for upside and it's like very little that we charge for it. So
that's powerful.
It's like, it's designed to be a win-win.
It's exciting to see how you've been innovating to help people.
Yeah. We just want to help people make more money. So like when we get so many people like, hey, just help us with salary negotiation, we're like, sweet, we'll do it. But won't go on a rant here. Happy selling.
To your success in tech sales and in life. Happy selling and happy living. And we'll see you in the next one.